Northeastern University dismisses 11 students for partying in the face of COVID and confiscates their $36.5 thousand in tuition money. Oh well, I'm sure the students learned more about economic reality from the penalties than they ever learned from their professors. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated and unmasked about the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today, we start with COVID on campus as colleges across the country move into full-fledged freak-out mode. And we start at Northeastern University on the East Coast in the Boston area, who basically dismissed 11 students for partying without observing proper social distancing and wearing their masks. I guess it's kind of hard to do Jell-O shots when you got a cloth mask on your face. But the kicker, not only did they throw them off campus, the collective $36.5 thousand that those students had paid for this year's semester, they confiscated.
Well, and the reason that they're for sure, we're not sure if it was Jell-O shots. They didn't announce that. But the reason is that they actually threw a party at a hotel room, which is actually serving as a dorm, because that's how we do things now in 2020. So they were having a party at a hotel room at the Westin Hotel in Boston. And then staffers had claimed, or who were from the university, actually claimed the students were not wearing their masks. Again, Jell-O shots. It is difficult to do that. And they did not practice the social distancing. Well, I mean, that's kind of difficult when it's a college party anyway. So they were notified and that they must vacate the Westin, and they had to do it within 24 hours. So as soon as you do one thing wrong, get out now. And by the way, we're keeping all your money. So deal with it.
Yeah, deal with it. So universities, we've seen so many stories about how kids are demanding tuition breaks. Why is it that universities are charging full tuition for these mediated online classrooms? They've got a really good point here. My first paycheck at the university is coming up at the end of September, and we're being furloughed, right? So we're having to give back about 10% of our salary every month to the university, so they can then turn around and, more propaganda about masks, more endless warnings about COVID, fewer teachers actually teaching live classes. You know the drill.
Pretty much. Well, at your university, at pretty much all the universities across the nation, we know that they are either having kids do hybrid, or if they are doing in person, what's happening is becoming more and more of, okay, we're in person. Oh, just kidding. We have to go online because it takes one person on a university campus to get COVID, whether they're asymptomatic or not, and then they have to shut down for 2 weeks. So an Illinois university is quarantining all their students for 2 weeks. 2 whole weeks, and that's the common thing now.
The entire school body.
Yeah, this is at Bradley University in Peoria, and there was actually a cluster of COVID-19 cases. So they're going to go to remote learning. This is happening in Wisconsin schools. I keep hearing it everywhere across the nation. This is just basically one example. And the university actually says the coronavirus, it was linked to off campus. About 50 cases, and most, again, are asymptomatic, so COVID could be in pretty much everyone. If you're asymptomatic, we don't know. And they're saying emergency measures are needed to respond to the outbreak without disrupting academic progress.
Well, you just did.
Exactly. And they're requiring students to limit non-essential interactions, stay in their off-campus apartments, residence halls, or Greek houses, and take classes remotely. So those parties that we were just talking about at Northeastern in Boston are probably just going to happen at the Greek houses now.
Yeah,
they're stuck there.
I've only had one day of class. I've taught once this semester last Thursday, and I've already got 4 or 5 kids who are now quarantining, right?
Just because?
Well, class started last Wednesday. So there were Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday classes last week. I teach Tuesday, Thursday, so I only taught one. My colleagues who teach Monday and Friday, they taught then. But over the weekend, I had 4 or 5 kids tell me they are now quarantining. So either somebody they know on campus or one of their family members apparently has COVID. So for at least 2 weeks, they're off and done. And a number of those kids, on top of that, I've had a number of students who, before the semester even started, decided they were going to do full online because they didn't want to. So we're teaching I'm teaching in class, online, and dealing with all those things, and I'm paying the university more of my salary for the privilege to do so.
Well, you are brave for going out there and teaching in person.
When did brave come to mean stupid?
I don't know. Well, let's listen to Bradley President Stephen Standiford, who says, although it may seem extreme, this move to temporary remote learning and a 2-week all-student quarantine allows us to focus on the continuity of the educational experience for all of our students while giving us time to gather data on the full extent of the spread of the virus and assess the best way to proceed as a community. Because now Bradley University apparently is a science research lab, all of it. We would not engage in a 2-week quarantine if I did not believe it was possible for us to complete the semester on campus successfully. But this only happens if we collectively change our behaviors moving forward.
What kind of administrative BS talk like this?
I wanted to hear your response.
Really? That I would, if I thought this was meant we were not going to have to finish the semester, I never would have quarantined? What a crock of crap that is. It could have been 2 outbreaks and two subsequent outbreaks based on those. You would have canceled classes. This idea that somehow you're some crusader for the semester. You couldn't wait to pull the plug.
Well, and you know how at Bradley they're quarantining in the Greek housing. Yeah. At UW-Madison, they're actually directing 9 sororities and fraternities to quarantine as well. Apparently, 38 students tested positive for COVID-19, and there are about 420 Greek life groups that are being asked to quarantine for at least 14 days. So Jake Baggett, who's the executive director of University Health Services at UW-Madison, says our goal is to stop any further spread of the virus among our students and the broader community.
Let me just stop you right there. It's completely unrealistic and stupid, right? These people, the white knighting, the virtue signaling, the need to be seen as heroic by shutting things down. And out of curiosity, why the sororities and the fraternities in particular? I mean, why them? I get that the breakouts were happening there, but clearly these kids go to classes, right?
Well, that's the thing. And okay, so 38 students tested positive, but if you look at statistically, there are 38 chapter houses of overall. And then, so if you look at how many houses there are and how many specific students, but then overall, how many just Greek students. So there's 1,500 of those students who live in those 38 houses. So 38 of 1,500 who live just specifically in the houses. But of the total Greek life, there's more than 5,000. And then you go of the whole university, and then all of Madison, and then you can just extrapolate this out as far as you want. But 38 closes everything down. Everything closes everything down.
This is the takeaway from me. Violation of isolation and quarantine orders could result in a court order requiring students to quarantine, and a fine of up to $10,000. Well, I guess it's better than what they had to pay at Northeastern for their party, right?
Pretty much. Well, Lori Reeser, the vice chancellor for student affairs, says that we're committed to addressing concerns and risks quickly in order to keep everyone in our community as safe as possible. Our students' commitment to following public health directives is an essential part of that effort.
As if the one lesson you're teaching kids this semester, since COVID for 2 semesters now, is whatever else you do, conform. I'm pretty sure that's the last thing college kids need to learn more of.
All right, so we know all of this is happening, college campuses across the nation, but, down at the K-12 level, kind of the same thing, where they are having either hybrid classes, completely online classes. Some people are in person, but there's some students who want to be in class, and they think, as they should, be in class. We have one student, his name is Maverick Stowe. He's a 17-year-old senior from William Floyd High School in Long Island. And he decided, I'm going to show up to school because it's a school day. And of course, for showing up to school on the wrong day, he's not allowed to do that. And now he's getting a 5-day suspension. Take a look.
I was suspended for 5 days today for insubordination as a result of wanting to go to school. The principal said that I needed to leave, and I said, well, no, I think I need to go to class. This is during class time, and he's teaching. The virus doesn't discriminate on Mondays or Tuesdays or Thursdays or Fridays. That's not how it works.
Now that's a Maverick that I would be happy to play Goose with. Are you with me, Katie?
Yeah, but if you're Goose, then you're done.
That love and feeling.
No, you lost me.
You are
Goose died. How dare you?
You are the
Too
ice
soon.
man.
Too
You're the ice man of this
Kilmer.
set. He knows he's not going to logically talk them into doing the right thing, but he doesn't anything. This is very much in the spirit of that movie.
Oh, very nice. Well, I like how he did this. He went to class So first he had to, have his temperature taken. He passed that. It's kind of like he mavericked the whole thing. So he got his temperature taken. He went to his first period classroom, and then the teacher noticed that he was not on the roster. So it makes me wonder how big that school is. Small schools would know, like, hey, Maverick, you're not supposed to be here today, but they had to actually look on the roster for it. But anyway, they called administrators. They asked him to go to the principal's office, and then he said the administrators asked him to leave school grounds, and then he says, no, I think I need to go to class, as he said. He left the principal's office, and he went back to class. He finished classes for the rest of the day unimpeded, just like a student should go to classes and learn. And but at the end of the day, they tracked him down, and they said he was being suspended for 5 days. And I like how he says this. I was going to school like students should be going to school. I think that a 5-day suspension is out of line. Yeah.
Well, the irony is that the kid wants to go to school, and your response is to ban him from more school.
Exactly. They want to kick him out to begin with, and now they're kicking him out to kick him out.
Right. They're kicking him out even more than they were kicking him out before. My favorite scene from that particular movie is when Tom Cruise flies upside down over a Russian MiG and flips off the Russian pilot beneath him. Maverick, I got a need for speed, Katie. That kid let's make that kid vice president of the United States immediately.
Well, I guess if that's what his future plans are, maybe his parents would support him, because they do support him for what he did. They asked his mom, Nora, and she said, kids need to be in school every day. Virtual learning is not learning. My son is being suspended because he wants to be in school. And then his dad, Richard, because Maverick told his parents, hey, I'm going to go do this, so FYI, Richard said he's a very smart kid. He knows what he's doing. When he said this is how he wanted to handle things, we were like, then go for it. Finally, parents actually supporting a kid for wanting to do something right, good.
And how pathetic is it that 40 years ago, flying into the danger zone meant confronting Russian Soviets?
And now
it means going to your public school. Highway to the danger zone. That's vintage Kenny Loggins. Post Footloose
I was
Kenny
going to say,
Loggins.
who sings it?
Kenny Loggins.
So let him sing it. Ooh, burn. Walked right into that one. That was just too easy.
Maverick, I'll be your goose all day long.
Well, while Maverick is trying to get into school, we have the LA County Public Health Director, Barbara Ferrer. I'm just going to call her Ferrer, because she's trying to keep kids out permanently, essentially. But not permanently, I should say, just to a very specific time. She's claiming that schools just, at least in LA County, they're not safe until November 4th, because what happens November 3rd?
So we don't realistically anticipate that we would be moving to either Tier 2 or to reopening K through 12 schools at least until after the election, in early November. Like, when we just look at the timing of everything, it seems to us a more realistic approach to this would be to think that we're going to be where we are now until we are done with the election.
I mean, my God, take a look at this woman. She looks like a Bond villain with that name, Dr. Farrar. I could just see sitting here having a ferret or something that she was stroking suggestively while Mr. Bond, there will be no school until after the election. I expect you to die, Mr. Bond. That's what I imagine when I see this woman. And you said something very interesting before the show began, and I don't want to step on your line, so I'm going to, you called out the obvious. Go ahead and inform this.
Well, throughout this whole audio recording, she shot herself in the foot, essentially. All she had to do was say November. If she would have said November, all of us would have deduced that, she means after the election. However, she said twice, after the election. Dummy! Dummy!
What would be the only reason you would wait not till November, not until winter, not until spring break? We're going to wait till after the election. You watch what happens. If Joe Biden is elected president, you watch how the ascension of the Biden team to lead the country in these dark times means we can send your kids back to school now.
They're the heroes!
And guess what would happen? Guarantee you what would happen. Incoming President Biden would say, we don't want the kids back at school yet. And Dr. Farrar, Mr. Bond, what would she turn around and say? See, we were ready to send them back, but the enlightened wisdom of incoming President Biden says we should wait until the new year.
That's probably, what'll happen. For the record, she's not an actual, medical doctor. She's one of the doctors. PhD doctors. She says we don't realistically anticipate that would be moving to either Tier 2 or reopening, until after the election. And she does say in early November after that, but again, anyone has a brain cell would know that she should have just said November later. But the thing is, she wasn't even meaning for all this to get out. She was on an audio call. Just so this was a partial audio recording of a conference call. And it was a collection of school nurses, school administrators, other educational medical professionals. And then whoops, this kind of got like put out there. And when she was questioned on things, it was from KFI's John and Ken show. She couldn't really like answer the questions like that a normal person would want to know, like, hey, it's LA County, we have like a giant school district, when can my kids go back to school? That's what everyone wants to know. And her response is, oh well, the election. It's
well,
just
what's interesting too is we see the pattern here. Everything is on hold till the election.
Everything is the election.
Right?
We can't do anything.
Why do we not have another stimulus bill for families that are suffering? Because as one Democrat said today, we're not going to give crumbs to the American people. The American people would rather have nothing than Donald Trump's 3/4 of what we would give them.
All right, this is sort of tangential a little bit, but here's the thing. So Joe Biden has come out with his I have a plan. So when I'm elected and sworn in, my plan is I'm going to cure COVID, or like get rid of COVID. Here's the thing. Wouldn't the smart move, if you have this great plan now, why wait? Shouldn't you swoop in and be like, Donald Trump, President Trump, I have this plan. Listen to me. And wouldn't that help your election bid?
Yeah, what you're basically saying is that I have a plan, but if I give you the plan, Donald Trump may get credit for it.
Exactly.
So all you kids with COVID can just suffer and deal with it.
All you old people still
I tell you, it's like a Bond movie, Pusher galore.
It's time now for some real education. The Staffordshire Hoard is the largest hoard of Anglo-Saxon gold and silver metalwork ever found, consisting of more than 3,500 items, amounting to 11 pounds of gold, 3 pounds of silver, and 3,500 pieces of garnet cloisonné jewelry. The hoard was most likely deposited in the 7th century and contains artifacts manufactured during the 6th and 7th centuries. It was discovered in 2009 in a field near the village of Hammerwich in Staffordshire, England.
And yeah, can you imagine being out there doing your metal detecting? I'm always amazed about how young America is, right? And the peoples who lived in this continent before Europeans didn't really have written language. They didn't write language. They didn't engage in the kind of arts and crafts that were as survivable as what you see here. Go back to the 7th century. This hoard, Anglo-Saxon period, just in some farmer's farm, Hammerwich, Staffordshire, right? Out in the beautiful inner part of the country, which is all green rolling hills, and it makes you wonder what else is buried there. This is, of course, from the Anglo-Saxon period, pre-Norman conquest, which is really authentically English too. And when you take a look at some of these pictures, you get a sense of the hoard. This is a treasure hoard, right? I mean, even using the word hoard takes you back to pre-pirate times, doesn't it? Hi, this is a hoard. And you can see what it is. For some reason, some king or high-ranking member or official, some very wealthy nobleman decided in a hurry that they had to stash their valuables, probably because of incoming invasion. We could be looking at a treasure hoard that was put there because the Vikings had arrived, something like that. It was something that had to be done quick. You wonder what's lying under some of those hills after 1,400 years. Look at the bracelet work here. Look at the Anglo-Saxon knotting and the symmetrical loops. Go back to the other one. Yeah, there's a nice pile of gold artifacts that just sat there underground for 1,400 years. All sorts of and what we know from the story as well, that this hoard is almost nothing in this hoard that would be related to life as a female. So there's no hair combs, no clips, nothing that would be associated with women's work, traditional women's roles. This is a very masculine group of items here. Go back to it again, Mike, and take a look at some of the cloisonné, some of this really beautiful metal and enamel work that you can see even after all the centuries. It still shows out as beautifully as it had ever done before. And just take a look at that piece right there. What a delicate little piece it is. You can see the cloisonné very close up. You've got the gold. That looks to be something like perhaps a ruby or some other precious stone that was available to the Anglo-Saxons. Really interesting stuff. And so this kind of stuff, we're finding it all the time underground. I should also point out that if you're a TV watching person, person, I would recommend to you a series. It's an English series. It only ran for 3 seasons, but it's called The Detectorists. It's about a small town group of metal detector peoples, and it's really it's funny and it's wry and it's very beautifully shot. The outdoor scenes are fantastic, but this small group of metal detectors, they call themselves detectorists, keep searching and all the politics of searching until one of the protagonists actually finds something very rare and precious from the Anglo-Saxon period. So if you get a chance to watch really wholesome family-based entertainment from the UK, check out the Detectorists, and you can get an actual series dedicated to just this kind of thing.
All right, just as a reminder, these premier beverage vessels of freedom are now available when you join our Patriot Club with a one-time $99 tax-deductible donation. Your gift literally keeps this show going, as Facebook and YouTube have demonetized our content. Yay! So please visit patriotclub.us. That's patriotclub.us. Now we're going to wrap things up with the fun fact of the day. So when we're talking about college kids, like getting the COVID, statistically speaking, 1 in 4 college students has an STD or STI, if you want to call it that, which is more than half of the new STD diagnoses every single year. And so that's about 10 million new diagnoses. So you do the math. What are you going to get when you go to college?
What you find out that moral rot and irrelevance is a bigger threat than COVID on a college campus. Color me surprised. And that's going to do it. That's our show for today. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. Until next time, stay COVID-free. Keep your pants on, my friends.